Alright, welcome to Magic Gathering Strat. This is Julien, and you're joining me for an Odyssey flashback draft. This is one of my favourite sets, and I'm really excited to play it. I've already gotten 3 drafts in myself, and it's pretty fun. It's just a really complex draft format, and it's something very refreshing since the last few blocks we've had not easy draft formats as such, but modern design. Just a lot more draft formats are very straightforward. I'm not saying they're easy at all. Magic is a very hard game, but your route to victory is usually fairly logical, whereas with Odyssey, it's a bit more, how can I say, complicated than that. The good cards aren't always as evident as it seems. But yeah, here we've got our first pack. Let's see what we have. We've got Savage Fire Cat. Can't remember what this does. So you can have a 7/7 trample, and whenever you tap a land for mana, you remove a counter from it. So that's a fairly good card for 5 mana. It limits when you can tap mana, because it dies very quickly. But as long as you don't tap your mana, you end up with a very big creature. The alternative is Gorilla Titan, which is okay. It's usually a 5 mana 4/4 trample. Sometimes it's an 8/8. It's actually quite hard to have no cards in your graveyard in this format. But it's possible, and this card can be pretty destructive. Green's one of the better colours in the format too, so that's up for consideration actually. Could almost be better than the Savage Fire Cat, really. Sky Shooter's not bad, but not great. Elephant Ambush is a pretty good card. Other than that, not a bunch of really great standout cards in any colour. I'm actually going to take Gorilla Titan. I do like Savage Fire Cat, and I think red's a bit underrated, to be honest. So I could understand going either way, but green is the more powerful colour, for sure. Magma Vein can be okay. You can kill a bunch of creatures, but it's not always ideal. Got Muscle Burst and Diligent Farmhand as far as green cards go. I think I like the Farmhand slightly more. Fixes your mana, puts a card in your graveyard. Repel is pretty decent. Its removal, and one of the best things is it doesn't put a card in their graveyard, which is pretty relevant in this format. I actually like that more than either of the green cards. If I took the red card first pick, I'd probably take Magma Vein, but Anarchist is okay as well. Graveyard interactions are just really important in this format. But yeah, Repel is a pretty nice card. It's just Griptide, the exact same card. But it's okay. Blue is a good colour in this format, and it's often slightly underdrafted, at least in comparison with green, which is almost always overdrafted. Let's see. This is a weird card. So it's a 2 mana 1/1 flyer that slowly mills you. Then once you've got flashback, it starts stripping your graveyard. Once again, punished for not going red, because there's another good red card here. The best blue card's probably Aven Fisher, but Aether Burst is quite good as well. Changeling is probably actually just the best card in the pack. I think I have to take this. It's a really good card. Whereas Aven Fisher's fine, Aether Burst is fine, and like this thing's okay. It can be a 2/2 flyer with Vigilance, which is pretty good, but 1 for 1/1 is pretty bad. And the black cards are pretty bad, so I'll go with the Changeling. Here, best red card's not that great. Dreamwinder's not bad. 4/3 is pretty big in this format. And green, nothing really. Green's just always overdrafted, so sad. Testament of Faith can be pretty good. It makes it really hard for people to attack you. I think I want to take Dreamwinder. It's pretty close. These shrines, there's one in every colour, and they're all unplayable. It's kind of sad, because they're kind of cool, but because they all care about multiples of cards, and you're playing with 3 different packs, they're just not worth drafting. So I think I'll take Dreamwinder. Big creatures are really at a premium in this format, and it's good to pick your colours. If I had a red card, I'd definitely take the Partick Firecat, but there's no guarantee I'll get a Flame Burst round, which makes Firecat much better. Also, having a 4 mana 2/3 haste isn't bad, but whatever. What a weird card. You kill creatures, you kill lands. Well, the best card here is almost definitely Thermal Blast. It's a really good removal spell. Nothing even close in this pack. Frightcrawler can be pretty good if you're in black. It's usually like a 3/3 with Fear. But Thermal Blast is just insane, so I'm going to take that here. Okay. Cartographer is okay, but nothing special. This is a weird card. It can be good? Yeah, maybe. Better than either with green cards. Words of Wisdom's okay, but it's not something I'm crazy about. Shadowblood Egg is okay. Just puts more things in your graveyard, fixes a color. Like, cycling cards are pretty valuable in this format, which is why I like blue, because you get to play, I forgot what it's called, the Madness card. 1 blue mana, just draw a card, and then you can get it off Madness as well. So at the moment I've got the Junk Golem highlighted. I guess I'll take that. It seems okay. I haven't played with it much myself, so I can't really say for sure. Patriarch's Desire is a pretty good card. It's like just strong removal. It's good to be in black in this format because you get a lot of good cards in pack 2, but you get almost no cards pack 3, so it's kind of like a toss-up. If you've got 3 black drafters, then you often don't get as good a deck as you could. If you've got 2 or less, then you end up with a fairly good deck. This is definitely the best card in the pack. The alternative is Careful Study is quite good. You certainly want to get things in your graveyard a lot of the time, which is why this Gorilla Titan is so much worse. I'll actually take the Careful Study, but it's pretty close. At this point, there's a Ravaged Highlands and a Skycloud Egg. They're pretty close. As I said before, the Cyclers are pretty good. There's also Kurtar's Desire, which is, once again, probably the best card in the pack. It's basically passive with them most of the time. So I could take Kurtar's Desire and just have that option open. I think at this point I might do that. It's pretty close, but yeah. I think it's better than a random land or mana source. Red cards are pretty bad. This card's just almost unplayable. This one can be okay. If you have an aggressive enough deck, you can play this and just kill people out of nowhere. Because you get to discard your entire hand, buff your entire army, like +3 or +4/0 to all your creatures and just kill your opponent out of nowhere. Escape Artist is okay, but nothing special. I'd rather just take the Sky Shooter on the off chance I end up playing green, but I'd really much rather play blue and red. Well, Magma Vein's still here, so I might as well take that. Kind of regretting that first pick there of Gorilla Titan. Like, I knew this would happen. I just keep living the dream that maybe one day I'll be able to draft green. Because green is almost definitely the best color in this format, but everybody drafts it. It's so hard to get into. And Mystic Penitent's still here. That card's okay. Probably the best card here. Blood Curdler's fine too, but it's just not powerful enough. Let's take another decent white card. See where that goes. Take a perfectly playable blue card. Yeah, this card's not that special. Yeah, I don't care about that. Yep, pretty sure Words of Wisdom is the card I want. Okay, just got my dinner sitting next to me while I draft. Kind of unfortunate, I thought it would take a little bit longer for the draft to start. I'd have some time to eat, but looks like I didn't. Shame there's no Temporal Insanities. I'm pretty sure I might actually be the next set Temporal Insanities in. I'll take Rave Distortion. It does have Flashback. Flashback is just a really good ability, but I have no plans on playing Rave Distortion, but you never know. This card's pretty bad. This isn't like Innistrad, a graveyard set where you can just cycle through your deck and shuffle it back in, cycle through again, shuffle it back in. It's certainly possible, but you'll almost always kill somebody or die before that happens. So, good cards here. Now, Tuco Black Carter is an insane sideboard card against some of the black decks. Another reason why green is so good. And another reason why green is so good is this Centaur Chieftain. 4 mana 3/3 haste with Threshold. All your creatures get +1/+1 and trample until end of turn. Both of those are really good cards. Black's got Crippling Fatigue here, which is an amazing removal spell. Probably the best card in our colours at the moment is Circular Logic. It's often just a counterspell, and when you can Madness it, that's pretty good. But it's a better constructed card than it is a limited card. I feel tempted to take one of the green cards and see if we can make that work, because those are two of the most powerful cards here, and the most splashable, which is important, because you can't really splash double black cards here too easily. Passing up on a Circular Logic and a Petrovarch isn't too bad. Like, Centaur Chieftain is a very good card, so I'd like to see if that can work. Cabal Coffers, is that worth money? Let's have a look. I'm not sure if it is, but it certainly used to be a very powerful and valuable card. 4 tickets, is that enough? Could be. This card's insane when you get it to work. The alternative, I can take a Centaur Chieftain or an Aquamoeba. Like, a 4-ticket card is pretty nice. I think I'll still take Centaur Chieftain. Now I'm recording a video here. This is where you really learn where your loyalties lie. I don't think it's going to stay that high for very long, so the resale value is going to go down. About 3 tickets. If it's more than 3 tickets that I can resell it for, then I'll almost definitely take it. If it's less, then I probably won't take it. And friggin' Cabal Coffers is exactly in the middle there. I'll just take the Chieftain, it's a good card. Alright. So Firing Tempo is very good, and Compulsion is very good. Just have to decide. Probably want to be blue over red at the moment. Like, Firing Tempo is fine, but it's double red to cast. Madness is insane. But I prefer to cut off blue in the last pack than red. So I think I'll take Compulsion. I think Fiery Temper might be slightly better. It's just Lightning Bolt in most circumstances, because in Limited you don't care about the difference between 1 and 3 mana as much. But Compulsion can really just drive an entire deck onwards. So I'm going to take that here and see where that goes. And there's a Possessed Nomad going very late. And it's easily the best card in the pack. So I will take that. I've already got 2 good white cards. I'm really not committing to a colour here, am I? Just got red, got blue, got green, got white. But this going this late is pretty good. Take it and see how that goes. Here's Temporary Insanity, which can be a disgustingly powerful card. And it's the best card in the pack. Sure, let's just play a 4-colour deck. Just so you know, this is not how you draft this format. Now, Tuco Cultivator is still here as well. This card's insane. All these cards are insane. Gloom Drifter is insane. Usually just kills all your opponent's creatures. Okay, I'm going to try and draft green, because I've gotten a lot of good green cards just in this pack. Spirit Flare's pretty good. Sure. Hopefully someone on my left will go into black with all these black cards I'm passing. Because if you get someone to go into black, like halfway through the second pack, they just get screwed in the third pack. Black is really bad in Judgment. For those who aren't aware, in this draft format, what they did was they had an uneven number of colours in each set. So Odyssey had the normal amount, the normal ratios, and then Torment had more black cards than any other colour, and less white and green cards. And then Judgment had more white and green cards and less black cards than any other colour. So Circular Logic, as I said before, is a pretty good card. I wouldn't mind taking that. Works very well with Compulsion. Obsessive Search is the card I was talking before about. 1 mana, cycles. It's pretty important, as you might notice from my curve. Everything is a 4-drop in this format. Still take the Circular Logic, because counterspells don't come up a ton, and when they do, they're pretty good. This card's just not that good. Take another Spirit Flare, I guess. I've seen people playing Centaur Veteran in their decks. It's not bad, but it's not a good card. Like, not even close. Longhorn Firebeast can be okay. I like it in an aggressive deck, but our deck's not that aggressive. So choice here, Coral Net is very good sideboard card against green and white decks. Mystic Familiar is good against black decks. Teros Faithful is just a good sort of stalling card. I think I'll take the Mystic Familiar because it has more potential against more decks if we do end up white. Coral Net is just purely a sideboard card. Even Troopers is a pretty bad card. 4 mana for a 1/1 flying. Doesn't matter what its ability is, like, it's just not good enough to play. This Teros Faithful like gums up the board pretty well. Really brings you back if you're getting beaten down. This pack is horrible. This is actually a horrible, horrible pack. So, I don't even know what I want to take here. I think I'll take Pay No Heed because it's the most potentially playable. It's still very bad. Floating Shield's okay if the other two aren't, so sure. Yep, I've got a lot of dumb white cards all of a sudden. This is not the best deck I've drafted in this format, just saying. In fact, probably the worst deck I've drafted in this format. Fair warning. That said, we've still got 1 pack left. Got a few green cards, a few white cards, and Judgment is where you get really rewarded for being in those colours. Here you can already see we've got Anurid Swarm Snapper is really good, Battlewise Haven's really good, Sudden Strength is really good, Nullmage Advocate's not bad. Like the red cards are fine, the blue cards are fine, and there's 1 black card which isn't even particularly playable. It's a 2/2 for 3 mana that is sometimes a 4/4, and if it dies as a 4/4, your opponent loses 4 life. Flash of Insight's a pretty good card. Wormfang Manta, as far as I believe, is not so good. 7 mana, 6/1 flying. You skip your next turn. If it dies, you get an extra turn. Just not that good. I'd much rather take Anurid Swarm Snapper here. Really good defensive card. In this format, a strong defense is almost the best offense. If you can gum up the board and make it so your opponent can't kill you, you can kill them with anything. Which is why evasion is so valuable. There's so many repetitive effects you can get. Cabal Therapy, how much is that worth? That could very well be worth something. Oh, only 3 tickets? That's a shame. This is a really good card in Legacy, but not so much in this format. Filth is okay. Got Browbeat, which is a fine red card, just like Longhorn Firebeast, I think it's called. It's good if you're aggressive, it's terrible if you're not, and aggressive decks aren't just aren't that well supported in this format. The only time I've actually lost to another deck in this format has been against aggressive decks with Narcissism. Narcissism is an enchantment that turns every card in your hand into a giant growth. Decks without that card just have not been that good in my experience. Depending what colours I want to be here. I think I'll take Vigilant Sentry. I've got enough white cards for it. I could take Savage Strength there, but it's tough. Wormfang Drake is actually an insane card. It's a flying 3/4. The downside is not enough of a downside to negate the fact that it's a flying 3/4 creature. I have to take that. It's really the best card in the pack. And here, we've got a couple okay white cards, and Anurid Bark Ripper, which is okay. Vigilant Sentry, which is also okay. So pretty close in power level. Hide this guy. So Nantuko Cultivator's pretty good, but aside from that, our green's not that strong. So I'd be more likely to go towards white in this case. It's fairly close. It also seems like white is more available too. That'll 2 something. No, that's not that good. Guided Strike is pretty decent. It's a good combat trick. Mirror Wall is good if we're going white-blue, but it'll probably table. And Riftstone Portal is fine. It can make your mana very good if you find a way to discard it. This format is all like, you want ways to discard cards really badly. You want to just get cards from your hand to your graveyard all of the time. Treacherous Vampire is pretty good. It's an air elemental with a huge downside, but it also has Threshold, which turns into a 6/6, so it's a powerful card. Cage Mail can be okay. It can make something unable to attack, or it can give you a really good blocker, but it's just not that powerful. Phantom Nomad is not a lot better than a random 2/2. Toxic Stench is insane. Why is this card in this pack? This is just Doomblade almost all the time. And Swirling Sandstorm is also insane. It's usually Wrath of God. Like, there's some very good cards not in our colours here. I'll highlight Swirling Sandstorm. We might play it. This deck is just looking worse and worse. Mental Note is okay. Prismatic Strands can end up with very strong combats for you, but it can also not do very much at the same time. We've got enough Threshold and Flashback that I think I'll just take Mental Note. I like Mental Note better in a blue-black deck, because you can have stuff like Morgue Theft, which lets you... It's a 2-mana spell that you get a creature from your graveyard to your hand, and then for 5 mana you can flash it back. It's actually a really powerful spell. This card's okay, it can potentially be a 6/6 from time to time, and it can prevent you from decking, but I would just take a 3rd Vigilant Sentry. Just go all in on that plan. Probably be going blue and white here, splashing for either red or green. Probably red. Red has a more powerful card, so that's for sure. Yeah, this isn't the most insane deck I've ever seen, that's for sure. I would really like it if I got a Spirit Cans. That's a 3 mana enchantment. Whenever you discard a card, you may pay 1 white mana. If you do, you get a 1/1 Spirit. It's a really good combo with something like Compulsion. And then if you get something like Battlefield Scavenger, you can almost go infinite with that. Just cycling through your deck, making spirits, and putting cards back in your deck again. Funeral Pie is actually kind of playable in a weird way. So is Rave Revelation. Excuse me, I might have to sneeze in a second. I think I take the Funeral Pyre here just because it can be an okay sideboard card. Null Mage Advocate isn't really going to make our deck at the moment. Grip of Amnesia is okay. You can cycle it in more control matchups. It can be powerful in that you can get rid of some of their flashback cards. But it's always the worst side of this. Sometimes you can counter like a bad spell with it if they really don't want to lose their graveyard. It's like a 1.5 for 1 most of the time. Here I'll take Phantom Nomad, just another creature, why not? Trained Pronghorn is not terrible. It's a discard outlet. Not nearly as good as whatever the 2 mana 2/2/1 is. You discard cards to get first strike. Cabal Trainee is marginally more playable than the other 2 cards there. Same with Liberated Dwarf, although maybe we can play Cage Mail. If our opponent has a bomb we can't answer. Might as well, right? Could potentially splash for Nantuko Cultivator. Kind of depends how the games go. Probably won't end up doing that, but I do like the card. So I'm most definitely playing white here. Not that this is, as I said, this is not the best deck I've ever drafted. Not even close. You definitely have to play both these Spirit Flares with this deck. So Possessed Nomad is like okay. How wide is this? The bulk really? None of the cards really stick out. Got 2 Centaur Chieftains, and Nantuko Cultivator in green. Got Thermal Blast, Temporary Insanity, Swelling Sandstorm, and Chainflinger in red. We'll probably play red. These 4 cards are all pretty good. And both there. And blue is just a lot of sort of value really. Aside from Wormfang Drake and Dreamwinder, which are just strong cards. So I'm fairly partial to playing 18 lands in this format, because you find a lot of ways to get them into your graveyard, which means that they're not as dead as they sometimes could be. Probably definitely want to play like 5 blue sources. Probably don't need that many white sources. 4 red sources too much? That's the question. Probably is too much actually. I think I'll go down to 3. Then go up to 6 blue sources. Or 10 white sources. That's the last question here really. Because blue gives a lot more card selection, which is important. I think I probably want slightly more blue so I can actually get my card selection going. Should give me enough consistency that I can hopefully kill my opponents fast enough of the time. I don't think I'll ever have a more powerful deck than my opponents. It'll just be about getting a strong enough board position that I can use my slightly worse spells to deal with their slightly better spells. That's how I'll be winning. So that's my deck. I'll submit this and I'll see you guys for round 1.